Solar flash event is in full swing. We have, at last count, I think I heard 9 major solar flares and CMEs heading towards Earth right now as I am speaking, which is Saturday, May 11th here in Australia. Multiple massive solar storms are hitting Earth. We're going to be talking about 10 signs that you are shifting to the 5th dimension, and we're going to talk about how to avoid the negative side effects. Hello and welcome to the channel. This is Mahadev the Thunder Wizard, and yes, it's happening. People right now, as I'm speaking, in the Northern Hemisphere in the United States are looking at record-breaking auroras that are all the way down, I guess, reaching almost Mexico or something crazy like that. And the level of power that these storms have been the most powerful we've seen. And last I looked, just recently, I think total of 9 storms barreling towards Earth. So this is a big deal. I know that I have been feeling the energy I can feel it in my body as I'm speaking right now. The energy is very intense. So I'm going to be sharing with you, what it's going to be like as we are now hitting what is now known as the solar flash event. Solar flash event is not just a single solar flash in the sky, although that very well might be what's coming. But as I was told directly from extraterrestrial beings, when I asked, what is this event? They said it was a series of solar waves of love hitting the Earth, coming from the sun. At that point, I had not heard about the solar flash. I didn't know what that was. When I was told this and interacting with these higher dimensional beings, my first thought was, I'm making this up. This sounds just silly. And then somebody said, no, it's a real thing. And I did just a little bit of research, and now I know what most of you know, which is that the solar flash event has been predicted for a long time. Let me explain to you very briefly what the theory behind it is that the center of our galaxy is a black hole, which is also called the central sun. And this is what I'm about to say is backed up by science. There are very high radiation waves, gamma radiation, which is higher than the sun's radiation. The sun doesn't have the ability to create radiation at this level. So the theory is that this high gamma radiation is going to come from the central sun, or the black hole at the center of the Milky Way galaxy, and it will go through some kind of a wormhole into the center of the sun, and then it will be released into the Earth. This will bring the ascension event. This is the theory. So, as I said, I had been told, if you follow my channel, you can watch the video in the Aliens playlist where I talk about my first major encounter communicating with a higher dimensional extraterrestrial whom I had made contact with. And as a result of that, I was given a vision of what was coming. And in that vision, what I saw was that there was going to be a singular event in the sky that everybody in the world would see. And as a result of that, they would think that it was the second coming of Jesus, or that God was returning to Earth. And then there would be a very quick realization, which is basically the end of religion, and an awakening to true spirituality, which is just the reality that we are all connected and unified to this loving energy, which people like to call God. And we would shift up to that and stay there. That was the vision I saw. I didn't know what the event was going to be. I asked the extraterrestrials, I summoned them again, and I asked them, I said, what is this event going to be? Is it going to be a bunch of, like a fleet of spaceships? The answer was no. It's going to be a series of solar waves of love that will hit the Earth, penetrate the Earth and all beings on the Earth, and shift it up to the next level. And that is what we are experiencing. Right now, we are getting absolutely pummeled. I've never seen anything like this. We are getting pummeled with crazy amounts of solar storms. And when I stopped researching it, just looking at it, what's happening right now, the feeling was that there was more coming. So I think there was 9 total that had been in the past just few days heading towards Earth. There's a lot of energy on its way as I'm speaking. By the time you watch this, you might be in the midst of it. So we're going to be talking about 10 symptoms that you are experiencing the solar flash 5D event, and I'm going to give you 10 techniques to survive this solar flash event. Now let me address a very understandable misunderstanding about what the solar flash event is. A lot of people would think, and I would have thought this as well, that in fact I did think this when I first was shown this event, that when the solar flash event hits, people are just going to seamlessly shift up, and out of nowhere we're going to go from being the evil, horrible humans we are, and we're going to shift up, and it'll just be like that, and everybody will be happy. And people will just be full of bliss, and they'll wake up to it. But that is not the case. What is really happening, as we've talked about in recent videos, is that the energy that is hitting the Earth right now, what it is doing is it is shifting the Earth into 3 different frequencies. The 3rd dimension is the one we're at now. That's going to slightly change a little bit. There's going to be a higher version, which we call 5D, which really just means a higher version of 3D that is more closely aligned to spirituality. And then there will be a shift downward, which we're calling 2D. Again, we're not talking about dimensions. If you want to use the word densities, that's fine, but we're just using it to describe a shift in frequency within the 3rd dimension. Just like when you're listening to a radio, you're listening to an FM band radio, you can shift to different radio stations. Those are frequencies. So there's going to be 3 main frequencies that the Earth is going to shift up into, and it's going to be a result of what's happening. So these solar storms that are headed towards Earth, by the way, scientists have just discovered that the sun has been doing something recently that is impossible, and they don't have any explanation for it. And that is what I was saying earlier, that the sun is releasing gamma level radiation, and that is impossible. The sun doesn't have the ability to do that. And these same scientists who know nothing about the solar flash event, who say there's gamma radiation coming from the sun, this is impossible, but it is somehow coming from the center of our galaxy. So these scientists who know nothing about this new age idea of gamma radiation coming from the central sun through a wormhole into the sun and then going straight into Earth and shifting things up, they are basically saying the same thing, that gamma radiation from the center of the galaxy is somehow coming from our sun and hitting Earth, and they don't know why or how. And they don't realize that they are talking about the solar flash. It is happening. It is happening now as we speak. So this current level of storms that we are experiencing, coincidentally, is a direct result, or it's happening coincidentally at the very same time that I have started to do these live guided interdimensional meditations to manifest the solar flash ascension event. I have been doing them very infrequently, and every time that I've paid attention, every time we do it, there has been a solar storm right afterwards. The next day there will be some release of some big solar storm. So we've been really amping it up, and for a while I was doing it almost on a daily basis. I have to take a break now because the energy is too much for my body to be able to handle, which we're going to be talking about in the techniques to survive the solar flash storm. So stay tuned for all of that. You're going to want to listen to all this. But this last couple of times that we did, I guided us to the central sun, the black hole at the center of the universe. And we did our work there, and we gathered up the energy. We went through a wormhole in our energy bodies through the guided meditation into the center of the sun, and we released that energy on Earth. And that was a very powerful meditation. Not a day or two later, the sun started popping off like popcorn. And when I then communicated with my higher dimensional friends, my guides, they said, we need you to back off for a couple of days. We need to handle the amount of energy that got released. Now, I'm a human being, and I go, well, that's interesting. Maybe I made that up. I don't know. And then I find out a day, 2 days later, that we have unprecedented amount of solar radiation, storms, X-class, G4, coronal mass ejections, all happening. And let me just paint you a picture of how intense these storms are. Even if one of these storms were to happen by itself, it would be a huge event. Like, wow, this is the biggest storm we've had in years. So you have storms at the level, solar storms at the level of, record-breaking solar storms. And there's not just one or two of them. They've been popping off like popcorn, and I think we have at least 9 that have been heading towards Earth right now. So this is huge. This is monumental. And it's, again, right when I do these guided meditations, you guys come with me. Our combined energy, we are channeling energy from higher dimensional beings. In case you don't know how this is working, we go out in our energy bodies as I guide you through these meditations, and we consciously reach out to these higher dimensional light beings from all over the galaxy, which include extraterrestrials from the Pleiades, the Arcturians, the Andromedans, and a bunch of others whose names I don't know, the Sirians, as well as beings that you would call demigods. These are beings that aren't necessarily physical, but they're very powerful, as well as deities. All of these beings, I have asked for their help, and they have agreed to come. And what is happening is that they are channeling their energy through our energy bodies as we're gathering around Earth, intensifying it. And this is what I've been told. This is what we experience. And the next thing you know, you see things happening in real life. The sun, it's undeniable what the sun is doing. And then on top of that, all of these intense revelations. If you've been watching what has been going on in the mainstream media, there's been a lot of talk about and how certain products are being taken off the shelf because they've been known to cause very serious side effects, and people who were in the mainstream media who told everybody that they need to have been coming out and saying that they themselves were injured. I mean, stuff like that doesn't happen. And these things literally happen the next day after we're doing these meditations. So before I go off on all this other stuff, please do me a favor and watch for these live guided interdimensional meditations to manifest the Solar Flash Ascension event. The way that you're going to need to do that is to go to the @Thunder Wizard at YouTube, the YouTube channel Thunder Wizard, and you're going to need to subscribe and hit the bell button. The bell button will notify you. When I'm done with this video, I am going to schedule the next one, which is going to be tomorrow, which will be Saturday for those of you in the Western Hemisphere, and we're going to do this again. We're going to see what happens, and I can already tell you it's going to be a big deal. So the one thing I was getting to, which is that you might think that the Ascension event is going to be this pleasant, beautiful, peaceful experience, but it's not. It's actually a destruction of the current third dimension, which means a destruction of your understanding of reality. So it is very likely that you will respond to as these solar storms hit. Mark my words, if you're not already feeling it, you probably will. The energy hits, your first response is not going to be, oh, I'm in bliss, everything's wonderful. A lot of people might have that. Very advanced people, very relaxed people, little kids will enjoy that. But the rest of us, normal human adults, our third dimensional mind might very well resist it, because your third dimensional consensus of reality is going to be deleted. I'm going to repeat myself. The third dimensional consensus is going to be deleted. So human beings are going to respond in one of two ways. Very unlikely there's going to be middle of the road where people aren't going to have a response. There's going to be two major responses. Either people are going to begin to have a spontaneous awakening. I've talked to people who have been experiencing this, people who, completely not interested in anything spiritual, maybe even atheists or agnostics, and all of a sudden they can't resist the energy that's hitting them and the awareness of a spiritual reality, a higher dimensional state, and it's been very traumatic for them. It's not what you would think. Oh, I realize that everything is, it's not like that. People are having their minds split into two and letting go of their rational understanding of the third dimension and accepting alternative understandings of reality and feelings and intuitions and experiences and dreams and physical transformations and kundalini awakenings. This is not something that is very easily accepted and experienced by the average person. So we need to know what those symptoms are, and we need to know how to handle that, which we are going to talk about. So before I go any further, it's very important that you support the channel, because without your support, I can't do this. I need you in order to be able to do this. So the best way to support the channel, subscribe, like, comment, hit the bell button. That's obvious. Do the live interdimensional meditations as often as possible. We got another one coming up tomorrow. Follow and like Path of the Thunder Wizard on Facebook. Share Thunder Wizard YouTube video links and Facebook posts on all of your social media. Subscribe to the thunderwizard.com Patreon site, which is again the site thunderwizard.com. Browse the thunderwizard.com shop for advanced practices if you want to learn and get some videos that you can buy and then stream, which will teach you some things we're going to be talking about, which you're going to need. So you can subscribe to the 90-day challenge, which we'll talk about, which is you can do work on different energy practices that I take you through, or you can just go straight to the shop and buy them and take them home and use them. It's completely up to you. Please remember that I need your support. So my vision is to bring the solar flash event. What I'm about to tell you is it's not going to sound grandiose. It is grandiose. But I'm willing to accept it. This is what higher dimensional beings have been telling me for a little while, and I'm finally willing to accept it. They have said that I have been chosen, and those that are doing these meditations have been chosen by the universe to be the beings who bring the solar flash event. It was told to me 2 years ago, said if human beings do not bring the event, it won't happen. So as much as gods, deities, higher dimensional extraterrestrials, light beings, as much as they are helping Earth, and they are helping Earth a great deal, they don't have the ability to bring the solar flash. It's been shown to me that only humans have that ability. And the way we do that, very simple. We go to these live guided interdimensional meditations. So I'm going to give you other ways that you can participate in the channel and be a part of it, but that's what I need. My vision is to have hundreds, thousands, or millions of people doing these meditations at once. And we don't have a whole lot of people that are doing these meditations, anywhere from 30 to 100 right now. That's not a whole lot. But the effect that it has had has been worldwide. If we look at just what we do and what's happening, we could make the argument that we are responsible for what is happening on the sun right now. I'm not going to make that claim. You can make your own decision about it, but the coincidental nature of it is very interesting, to say the least. I need you to be a part of it. Let's test it out. The more people that do these live guided interdimensional meditations, if we have even greater things happening literally right after we do the meditations, I think that's a pretty good sign that we humans can do something. So call your friends, get as many people as are interested in to come and do these meditations with us. All right, so let's get back to these the 10 signs you're shifting to 5D and how to avoid the negative side effects. Let's start with the 10 signs that the solar flash is in fact shifting you to 5D. First one is intense anxiety. So this is very common. I'm experiencing this, and I'm a guy who's been talking to higher dimensional beings for the past 2.5 years. I do interdimensional meditations and a bunch of other really intense stuff. You would think that I would be immune to this, but I've been doing this kind of work for over 35 years. Nope. When this solar energy hits me, the first symptom I have is I feel anxiety. First, it'll just be an anxiety, and I don't know what it is that's bothering me. In fact, if I don't pay any attention to it, I'll just be in a mood. And then if I sit and I ask myself what it is, I realize that there isn't anything specific, but my brain is looking for something. Oh, I need more money. Oh, my car this. Oh, I've got to do this later. Oh, this is wrong. Oh, remember what that guy said 10 years ago? And before I know it, I'm just wrapped up in a bunch of negative thinking. But that is the first sign that you are shifting, that your energy body is seeking to shift to a higher frequency. So if you have anxiety, stop and relax into it. When people take, and by the way, I do not recommend that you do any entheogens, any hallucinogens. I don't do any of them. So I don't recommend that you do for a bunch of reasons. But when you do, what happens? When you smoke some weed, when you take some DMT, you do some ayahuasca, the first thing that happens is you feel anxiety. But because you know that that's the first step to then having a deeper spiritual experience, you relax into it. And then what started out as anxiety then becomes power, and it takes you someplace. That is exactly what's happening. When you get hit with that anxiety, stop and go, I'm shifting. Don't take it as a negative sign. Don't buy into the fear. Relax into it, and that anxiety will then turn into a very high vibrational state of mind. Go and meditate, do something, focus on what you want to create, focus on your idea of 5D, focus on love, beauty, whatever it is for you. So intense anxiety hits. The second thing is emotional sensitivity. So you will go up and down. You might have, you might have times where you're just full of bliss and love, and then you'll be super sensitive. This is, again, your energy body is expanding, your emotional body is expanding and contracting. So you're going to have big ups and downs. That's a sign you are shifting to the fifth dimension. Fears and paranoia, that's common. Again, what is the greatest side effects of people that do THC? Fear and paranoia. Well, it's a result of that, but this is the same thing here. We're being shifted into a higher state of awareness. Our three-dimensional consensus is being deleted, and our self-defense mechanisms, our survival mechanism, mistakenly kicks into gear and is paranoid of everything. 4, increased spiritual awareness. So what will happen if you allow yourself to flow with this, or if you're already flowing with what's happening, you're going to have increased spiritual awareness. You're going to start making connections, seeing things holographically, seeing the world holographically. This is a symptom that you are shifting up. Increased psychic awareness. You'll start to be able to know what is about to happen. You'll start to be able to know what somebody's thinking. You'll have a greater spiritual perception that isn't just from your senses. You'll be able to sense things from your heart center, from your spirit. This is another symptom that you are shifting to 5D. Physical detox symptoms. It's very possible you might have some physical pain. You might have back pain, neck pain. You might have, a rash will develop. You might get some kind of a, illness, cold or the flu, and it's really not got anything to do with a virus. It's your body detoxing, whatever. If you haven't been eating, if you've been doing toxic things to yourself, drinking, smoking, eating Cheetos in bed, whatever it is, there's a possibility that this might bring that out. So don't fight it. Go ahead and drink lots of water and do healthy things for yourself and allow your body to detox, because your nervous system needs to get rid of the things holding it down into the third dimension. So This is one of the reasons why I've spent so much of my life having a clean lifestyle, so that I don't have to go through that. But that is one symptom. Increased physical detox symptoms, number 6. Number 7, dreams and visions. So your dreams might get really crazy. You might actually have visions of things. There are people that I'm interacting with who are having spontaneous visions and awareness of the solar flash event. And many people, you might remember you had a vision of what is happening right now. You had a vision of it 5-10 years ago. So this is going to increase because the veil is being lifted, because the third dimension, the consensus of our normal human third dimension, is being deleted, which literally means we're going to see the truth. So that's the great thing. Allow it to be deleted, because then you can see the truth. 8, spiritual visitations. So this might also happen as a result of it. Now, there's a scientific reason for it. So let me take all of the spiritual boogity-boo out of it. The whole idea of angels showing up and spirits, here's the reality. There are lower dimensional beings, ghosts and demons. We're not going to deal with them. These beings are going to be running for cover. They don't like this energy. So you don't have to worry about them. But you may have been led to believe that angels are spirits. But while it is true that every single being has a spirit, I don't know if it's the majority, but a huge number of angelic visitations have been from beings that have a physical body. They just happen to be in a higher dimension. They're in the 5th or the 6th dimension. This is not the same as densities or frequencies, because you can have different densities or frequencies within the 3rd dimension, like we're going to see here when eventually the Earth splits into 3 frequencies. Those 3 frequencies will not be visible to each other. So we're not talking about that. We're talking about an actual dimensional shift. And please research that from a physics perspective, not from a New Age perspective, because the vast majority of people in the New Age or spiritual people who talk about the 5th dimension or a higher dimension, they are conflating. They're talking about higher frequencies, which is something else. But when you have a physical being who is actually part of a higher dimension, these are beings that are able to be in multiple time streams at the same time. They're able to be in multiple physical places, and they have a physical body. When a being at that level of vibration chooses to come down and interact with a 3rd dimensional being, the 3rd dimensional being will always experience it as a God appeared to me or an angel appeared to me. And the only thing that's really going on is you've got a person just like me or you who happens to be in such a high vibrational state that they're in a completely different dimension. But your experience of them will be, I'm in the presence of a God. This is what's happening. And the reason why it's happening now during these solar storms is because what's happening is the Earth's electromagnetic field weakens considerably. And whenever the electromagnetic field is weakened, that's when you have greater ability to see what we perceive as paranormal, which are beings from other dimensions. This is why there's more ghosts, more demon attacks and things like that, because those are 2-dimensional beings. But it's also a time when you see UFOs, when you communicate physically or telepathically. You'll be visited by what you think are spirits, spirit guides, light beings. These are physical beings from a higher dimension, and because the electromagnetic field has weakened, you are able to experience them. So that's why if you're doing the interdimensional meditation, unless there's a solar storm, you have better chance of being effective at night, because at night the sun isn't hitting the Earth, and normally the normal sunlight, when it hits the Earth, it strengthens the magnetic field, and so that's why you don't have hauntings during the day, but you have them at night. So as a result, number number 8, there's spiritual visitations, which are higher dimensional beings, which now you can see and you can hear and you can get messages directly from them. Number 9, here's another symptom: confusion. Confusion in this case means not knowing what is real. You end up having an experience where your third dimensional mind is trying to explain to you what's happening in the third dimension, and then you have your spirit, your subtle body, your energy body, your intuition is telling you the truth about how the universe really is outside of our third dimensional matrix. When you have two of these things talking to you at the same time, you're going to be confused. You're going to feel distracted, and it might even be traumatizing. You might think you're losing your mind. You're losing your third dimensional consensus. And we need to let that go to get to this higher frequency that we're calling 5D. So you might experience like a feeling like you're coming apart at the seams, and at the very least you might be confused. Number 10, feeling you're in two worlds. So this is welcome to my life. I feel like I'm living in two different worlds. Eventually I'd like to make it all the way over to the higher dimensional world that I've been visiting, but you might feel that as well. You might feel like you're living in two different worlds. Part of you isn't here on Earth; it's somewhere else simultaneously. And for those people who are able to relax into it, it can be a very, very interesting and wonderful experience. But if you're an average person like me, it's very possible you're going to have to struggle sometimes not knowing which world you're in, and you feel like you're living in two different worlds. So these are all the 10, there's more than this, but these are 10 symptoms that the solar flash event is in fact shifting you to 5D. Now, again, what I have come to learn, even though I didn't like the idea, I now know that it is the case, is that the Earth very likely is going to shift into 3 frequencies. A lower frequency where things are going to be even worse than they are now. A frequency similar to the one that we have now, although it'll still be a post-apocalyptic kind of world. And then there will be a blissful, beautiful, spiritual world, a magical world of all of your childhood fantasies coming true, and we call this 5D. So these are all coming, but you have to choose. So the easiest way to go to the lower dimensional world, don't do anything. Just let your third dimensional mind react and tell you how to live and what to do. Buy into all of your fears, act on your fears, act on all of your doubts, buy into the narrative, do whatever it is that Big Brother tells you to do. If you do that, just basically allow yourself to be a normal human, wanting to be safe, wanting to be part of the crowd, not wanting to shift, not wanting to change your understanding, not wanting to change yourself spiritually, psychologically, or even physically, then you will shift down. If you want to shift up, you are going to have to participate. You are going to have to do some work. So, that's 10 techniques to survive. All right, so now I'm going to give you techniques. If you want to actively participate in shifting up, if you make the decision, you accept that this world we're living in is a 3D matrix. It's a virtual reality game. It's an illusion. It's a construct. However you want to look at it. You realize that this is an experiment in consciousness that has come to an end. The universe has gathered all of the information it can from this third dimensional experiment, and it is being deleted. All of the energy that's hitting the earth is deleting that experiment. So if you want to be able to leave the experiment safely, get up to 5D, here are some techniques that will be helpful for you. So the first one is to remember that anxiety is a gateway to bliss. Again, I told you about, I made the comparison to when people do like ayahuasca or DMT. First thing that happens is they feel anxiety, but then to allow yourself to relax into it, because that anxiety is a gateway. So here's the good news. You don't have to do DMT or do ayahuasca or anything else. You're about to have a big spiritual trip, literally. And so the first way you know that it's kicking in is the anxiety. So go, I'm about to start my trip now. And allow yourself to relax into the anxiety, and it will turn into a very intense bliss. You'll feel your kundalini rise. You'll feel right now as I talk, the blood is coming to my fingertips. My hands are tingling. My bottoms of my feet. I'm filled with all of this energy. And if I were to fight it, it would become anxiety. But if I'm relaxing into it, it's this beautiful, blissful, emotional as well as physical experience. Number 2, don't react to problems. So all of the things that you think are problems, and I'm not preaching from the high mountaintop. I'm talking to myself here as well. Money problems, relationship problems, time problems, schedule problems, all of those things that we end up stressing out over. People literally off themselves because of this arbitrary, intellectual, made-up concept called money and fame and wealth and credit scores. And these are all made-up things. They're not real. They don't exist. So stop worrying about it, because they're meaningless. When there hasn't been one person in the history of planet Earth who on their deathbed said, I regret I didn't have a better credit score. I wish I had more money. They never say that. On their deathbed, they say, I wish that I had enjoyed myself. I wish I had done the things that I wanted. I wish that I had had more love in my life. I wish I spent more time with my children. I wish I started that business. I wish I learned how to play the saxophone. I wish that I spent more time traveling the world surfing. Those are the things people say on their deathbed. They never say, I wish I had a better credit score. I wish I had owned more houses. I wish I had a better car. They never say that. So drop all that nonsense. Don't react to the problems. Technique number 3, fear is the 3D mind resisting the shift. So if you feel fear, anxiety is just another word for fear. Bear in mind that fear is, again, your third dimensional consensus, which is literally being deleted as we speak. So it's normal to have fear. So don't let that stop you. Fear is the 3D mind resisting the shift. Number 4, empower the nervous system. So on my channel, listen, I now realize why I'm here on this planet. In case you want to know, I am here on this planet. The reason I was born is for right now. I have spent my entire adult life, even, as I was a kid, a teenager, I spent my entire life practicing, living, experimenting with all different kinds of spiritual practices, more specifically, energy practices, powerful, esoteric, mystical, shamanic practices. And up until very recently, I didn't know what I'd done. I was synthesizing and creating a bunch of really cool stuff that I enjoyed, and a lot of my students, but I don't know, I felt like I didn't really belong on Earth. Now I know why I'm here. Because everybody's going to need this. It's going to be, I can say this for a fact. Anybody who does these practices, I guarantee you the shift will be easier. So we've got the 90-day challenge. And so I've specifically listed that here to help empower your nervous system. So let me explain to you how this works. The 90-day challenge is the name I've given to a practice that I've synthesized. And the synthesis comes from 3 very powerful esoteric spiritual practices that go back into antiquity. The first one is called Qigong, which just means energy work. You are surrounded by living energy. When you breathe deep, you're not just taking in oxygen, you're also taking in life force energy. So you've heard of energy work, Qigong, Tai Chi, and people moving and flowing with energy. This is tapping directly into the living life force that is around you. So that's the first thing that that I used to synthesize this practice, which I call lightning qigong. The second spiritual practice is Kundalini yoga. So Kundalini is not chi. A lot of people mistakenly say that Kundalini is life force energy. It's not. It is the consciousness of the fifth dimension. No other being on planet Earth has Kundalini, only humans, because humans are destined to shift up to what we call 5D. But in literally higher dimensions, their consciousness is 100% Kundalini. If you've interacted with these beings, their energy is very intense. It's because they're pure Kundalini beings. So this is the second thing that I've synthesized. So you learn not only energy work, but you learn Kundalini, how to safely activate it. I know you've heard a lot of people have had Kundalini illness, shocking Kundalini awakenings where they're in pain, they have physical problems, they kind of lose their mind. What's happening is that those people weren't prepared for their third dimensional body to fight against the fifth dimensional consciousness energy. So when you do Kundalini yoga, when you do practices that raise the Kundalini, your mind is ready for it, and you're not going to have that uncomfortable experience. So if you've had those uncomfortable Kundalini awakenings, great. I've got a technique that will help you metabolize that. And what will happen is your nervous system will become able to handle it. By the way, yoga, as you know it, hatha yoga, the stretching, that isn't yoga. When people originally went to India to learn yoga, which meant spiritual practice, the yogis, those that seek union, they saw that Western people needed to get their nervous systems and their energy systems prepared. And that's what hatha yoga does. It prepares the body for the higher dimensional meditations and mantras. But what ended up happening is the Westerners came back and all they had was hatha yoga, and they didn't take it any further than that, and they think that's what yoga is. And so now when somebody says yoga, you think stretching. But it's not. It means union with your higher self, union with the divine. So I've got Kundalini yoga in there, which will help your body and your mind be able to handle the Kundalini energy as it comes up into your spinal column and into your consciousness. And the third one, so this 90-day challenge is a synthesis of Qigong, Kundalini yoga, and what's called the Shin, or the heart mind. Your heart is surrounded by an electromagnetic field. Not only do we know that from science, when you want somebody to come back to life, you jolt them with electricity, and it gets the heart going. But there's also an electromagnetic field, which is the most powerful energy in existence. And it keeps the soul safe from the ravages of the third dimension, the damage that can be caused. The soul needs to be protected from that. But this same energy can be used to fight negativity. And so I learned from the Maoshan spirit fighters how to release this energy throughout all of the energy meridians so that this energy can come out of the body. And by doing so, you can literally walk into a room and demons and ghosts will go running from you. This is called the heart mind. It's the electromagnetic field of the heart. And I've synthesized all three of these, Qigong, Kundalini yoga, and the Shin, the electromagnetic energy of the heart. That's what the 90-day challenge is. I guarantee you, if you do it, and if you're listening to me and you're suffering these symptoms, just means you're human. This is a way where you can consciously address the shift, and your physical body and your mind can come together in a harmonious state. That's the 90-day challenge. That will help you empower the nervous system, number 4, to be able to handle the solar flash event. Number 5, empower the energy body. Now this is done with practices which you can find again here in the 90-day challenge, but I have more for those that want it. And one of the most powerful ones is called the Awakening the Immortals. It used to be free on the channel. It's now no longer available on the channel. You have to go to thunderwizard.com to get it. And if you go to the shop, I believe this is it, you can see it here at the bottom, Summoning the Immortals. You see next to it Celestial Qigong, which is the basics of all of the Maoshan practices. And then you see next to it the shamanic fighting moving forms, starting with the wood. Those are the powerful Shin, the most powerful Shin, heart-mind electromagnetic field practices that I have. So this will help you as you're getting hit with this very powerful solar energy. This is going to help you, where were we at? Number 5, empower your energy body. So your nervous system has to be empowered, and then you have your energy body. Your energy body has to be empowered as well. And it's your energy body that allows you to go to higher dimensions. And for that, there's nothing in the universe more powerful than the electromagnetic energy surrounding the soul. That's why the soul is surrounded by it. Because the soul is a light being that lives in very high electromagnetic fields. So what you're doing is you're taking that electromagnetic field that's just around the heart and you're expanding it to go through your whole body. And so you can do that in numerous ways. I recommend that you go to thunderwizard.com at the shop, and you've got these practices there. You can see them there. Pick one and just start with one, or if you want to, get all of them if you're really serious. It's completely up to you. All right, and then so that's how you can, number 5, empower the energy body. Number 6, consciously shift into 5D. There's a meditation that will allow you to do that. And it's a meditation that comes from the Maoshan tradition. This one goes back 2,000 years. And it is a meditation that is so powerful. In fact, as I'm talking about it, I'm feeling the energy. This meditation is so powerful that it was written into a text. And they specifically wrote the directions wrong because they didn't want the average person to get it, because it was too dangerous or what have you. But if you knew what the techniques were and you mastered this meditation, it says there that you would literally shift. A feathered serpent carriage would come and take you to the highest heaven, which is a very fancy way of saying you will shift to a higher frequency. And this is what happens with people who, like the Jesuses of the world and the Babajis of the world, where they're able to walk through walls and disappear and appear and be in multiple places. These are beings who shifted their frequency up to a higher level. That's what this meditation will do. I teach this to you. I teach you the actual method. Not only that, but I've taught a method that is for today. It's very simple and very powerful, and you can find that here in the 90-day challenge at thunderwizard.com. You will have access to the 3-1s meditation. And that is number 6, how you can consciously shift into 5D. Number 7, create a new internal reality consensus. So this is important. As I said earlier, the 3rd dimensional consensus is being deleted. That's why people are flipping out. That's why people are doing things they've never done before, and they're letting governments and, 3-lettered organizations, global organizations, tell them how to live and what to do to stay healthy and safe. And this is why people are looking to be told what to do. It's because they need a consensus. A consensus is when we all agree on a belief. And the 3-dimensional world used to be fairly uniform, and everybody pretty much had the same understanding. The reason why there has been an increase in these kinds of governments, like, communist and totalitarian and fascist governments and, all that political stuff people like to get into. The reason why those kinds of governments have been increasing over the years is because as we have gotten closer and closer to this dimensional shift, the consensus has been starting to come apart. As you know, that's why there's been we've never seen anything like this, where there's such division among people's beliefs, politically, religiously, socially, we've never seen anything like this. It's because the consensus is coming apart. So people are polarizing either towards resisting and going down into their lower three-dimensional self, or they're awakening and they're going more towards their spiritual self. So we need a new consensus. And I have something for that. Again, this is why I'm here. I've been brought into this world for exactly what we are going through right now. And so we have just started a live group Zoom class discussion group. You can subscribe to that if you go to thunderwizard.com, and it's really important. If you're somebody that you've been having these experiences and you try to talk to people about it and they think you're crazy, you've been having these experiences and you think you're crazy. What needs to happen now is we need to share the truth of our experiences with other people who've had the same experience. And what happens is we create a new consensus. So just like the third dimension is a consensus, it is, I'm telling you. The only thing that keeps the third dimension together is that we all agree that the third dimension is this, that we are isolated, we live alone, and we live in space, and there's no other beings around there. And we think there's something that happens after death, and we call that the afterlife, but that's not part of reality. This is reality, and reality is cold, empty, and cruel. That's the consensus. And we keep creating it by, in our stories, in our news, in our religions, we keep creating that consensus. So that consensus is falling apart. And without a consensus, we start to go crazy. So we need a new consensus, and that's what's going to happen here. People, we've just had the second discussion group for this month, and it has been revolutionary for me and really empowering, and people are able to talk about what they've really been experiencing, and they've been able to come together. And what I learned is that we're creating a new 5D consensus, and that will begin to grow. The more that expands, the more people will begin to start accepting the 5D consensus. So we need to do that. We need to create a new consensus, which is number 7. Number 8, use your divine power to change 3D reality. And that is probably the most powerful tool we have to consciously create the shift. And we are doing that. Everybody is welcome. And that is going to these live guided interdimensional meditations. Again, I do these at least once a week. They're free. And all you have to do is show up when we have it. Now, if you can't make it during the time that we're doing the live stream, it's not a big deal, because each one of these live streams is archived and recorded. If you go onto the Thunder Wizard channel and you go to the live section, you'll see all of them. You'll see a bunch of interdimensional meditations. And so it's important that you keep doing them. You show up for them, you do them, and keep doing them when we have new ones. Because every time you go, let's say I do a live meditation, guided meditation, and you can't show up until after it's, an hour after it's done. You click on it, you watch the recorded version, you are going to be transported back to that same place in time, because time isn't linear. So each meditation is, it's not like we just do the same meditation every time. We don't. It changes. We go to different places and we accomplish different things out in our astral bodies, on the astral plane. So it's important that that you be part of that, so that you can be a part of the shift. And trust me, even though you're not there with us, if you show up and do the meditation, and you click on the video and you do the meditation, follow along, you will be part of our energy group. Because once we leave Earth's atmosphere in our energy bodies, we leave the 3D space-time, linear space-time. Okay, so do those as well. So that's number 8. Use your divine power to change 3D reality. And let me explain to you why this is so important. So you can do the interdimensional meditation by yourself as well, which I teach you how to do that. And you can learn how to do that. If you do the live guided one, you'll be able to replicate that in your own meditation. And what's important is having direct connection to higher interdimensional beings, light beings in higher dimensions. These beings have the ability, just by interacting with you, because of their higher frequency. You will shift, you will change. And this isn't like any other meditation I've ever experienced, even though they're incredibly simple, and it sounds like I'm just guiding you through a normal guided meditation. I'm not. I am specifically doing things that if you participate in it in your meditation with your imagination, you will be able to create direct communication and relationships with higher dimensional beings whose energy is such that just by interacting with you, and sometimes they physically show up. People will say that they will feel, a hand touch them. Of course, you will get telepathic energies. You will feel a higher dimensional energy interface with your body. If you're outside, you might see a light ship or a craft of some kind. You'll see orbs. This is real. And it's not just your imagination. These beings, trillions of them, are around Earth waiting to help you. If you want out of the third dimension, they've got their hand out and they're ready to grab onto your hand and help pull you out. But you have to reach out. And that's what interdimensional meditation is. There's a bunch of videos on the channel, but the easiest way is just to go, and if you're just listening, you want to figure it out, go to one of the already recorded live interdimensional meditations, just hit play, put on your headphones and follow along. And if you have the slightest bit of honest intention, you will make contact. If you, maybe not at first, you might not notice it, but if you keep doing it, I guarantee you will have an experience. So that's number 8. Use your divine power to change your 3D reality. And that means you will become aware that you have the ability to simply intend a different reality. I have made it my goal. I have committed myself. I am going to change this 3D world to a 5D world. That is my commitment. You can make that same commitment. And when you go into meditation and you do these things, you find out that your intentions literally change reality. And it's not that big of a deal because the third dimension is being erased. So it's much easier now to change reality than it was, even 10, 20 years ago. So don't take my word for it. Go do it yourself and find out. So that's number 8, use your divine power to change 3D reality. Number 9, understand command codes of the universe. So if you've ever heard of runes before, so you've heard of mantra. Mantra is the one of the ways to access the vibrations that are happening all the time under the surface at the fabric of reality. And so rishis, which are the Vedic term for seer, these are the people who wrote down these mantras. Now, these aren't things that they made up. They went into deep meditation and they heard these things being chanted, the vibration, and they repeated them, and then somebody else wrote them down. So, the most famous one is the Gayatri mantra, Om Bhur Bhuva Swaha. You've heard of that one. That has its own rhythm. There's the Triambakam mantra, Triambakam Yajamahe Sugantim Pushtivardhanam. Somebody heard that. Runes are like that, but they're the more fundamental building blocks. And so I have on the channel, there's no shortage of rune stuff, but if you want to get training, specific training to learn how to chant them in the way that Odin himself chanted the runes when he had his awakening experience and he became the king of the gods, you can go to the shop and you'll see at the top there, Rune Shamanism 1, 2, and 3. Rune Shamanism number 3 has the forgotten method. I've got it in there. But there's also Rune Divination is also there in the shop, and there's also Advanced Rune Shamanism, which is an even more powerful way of using the runes to create balance and healing. But when you understand how to access those frequencies, those seed sound frequencies, which we call the runes, then you can go on a much deeper level. You want to create 5D? I'm giving you the tools to do it. And all of this stuff you can find on my website, thunderwizard.com, as well as on my channel. All right, and then finally, to be able to ground higher energy. So it's very important because this energy is crazy. And so you might feel really out of perspective. You're gonna need to be able to ground that energy. So this one is very simple. All you have to do is just search it anywhere. Search H-U-U-L, the Hul breath. So you see that the Hul breath and the Qigong, they're just things that just straight Qigong, which I teach you in the 90-day challenge, and the Hul breath, which of course I teach you in the 90-day challenge. There's a couple of other things which you can find in the shop, like the Heaven Earth meditation. That is incredibly powerful. And the Hul breath itself. Now the final one, this is quite possibly one of the most powerful techniques I have. I know I'm throwing a lot of stuff at you, so I'm not expecting everybody to get all of them, because it would take you a while to get through all of them. Go check them all out and grab the ones that appeal to you the most. But let me explain to you the technique for activating the pineal gland. So understand that to shift to 5D, your pineal gland has to be awakened, because it's a transceiver. It's a transceiver from 3D to 5D. And if your pineal gland isn't working, it's going to be difficult for you to make that shift. But it's the pineal gland that allows you to receive telepathic messages. It's the pineal gland that allows you to travel astrally out of your physical body. It's the transceiver. Without it, nothing spiritual is going to happen. So the Huar pineal gland technique, I don't have it here in the list, but if you go onto the shop, you might see it there. Let's see. You can't see it here in any of these pictures, but just beneath the Qigong, right there, you're going to see the Huar technique, advanced pineal gland activation technique. So it's H-U-A-R. All of that can be found on the shop, which is at thunderwizard.com. When you go there, you will see at the top, you'll see the menu Home Collections. Click on Shop. All right, so those are all of the techniques that I have available for you. And again, this is the reason why I've been brought onto this planet, to give these techniques out. And what we're doing right now is these live guided interdimensional meditations. This is the reason that I am here. And every time we do these meditations, the world shifts. So I'm going to keep doing it as much as I can, and I need your help. So everything that I've said, if there's only one thing you get out of it, show up to the live guided interdimensional meditations and share it with, on your social media, and invite other people to come. Share the links that I put up on the Facebook group Path of the Thunder Wizard. All right, so I'm starting to repeat myself, which means we're done. So I want to thank you all for showing up. And again, just hang on to your seat. It's all coming. It's all coming. So to support the channel, again, subscribe, like, comment, hit the bell button. You heard about all the rest of that stuff. You can look at all this stuff later to figure out how you can best help me. And at the very least, go to thunderwizard.com and subscribe at the Fan of the Thunder Wizard channel tier. If you're overwhelmed with all this stuff, just to give you an example, there's almost 500 subscribers to the thunderwizard.com website. Of those 500, only 64 are actually financially subscribed to something. The rest of them aren't, and they're not getting anything out of it. And I don't get anything out of it, and it doesn't support. So if you want to support the channel, but you're not ready to jump off the cliff and do all these crazy energy practices yet, just go in and subscribe as a fan of the channel. And again, if 500 people were subscribed at that level, putting just a few dollars every month to support the channel, I'd never have to worry about, coming on and trying to help you understand all of these tools that I have, because this is how I stay doing this every day. But no matter what, we are always going to be doing these live guided interdimensional meditations. I hope you show up for that. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen, and I appreciate, share it with your friends if you want. Again, like, subscribe, comment, and please keep me in your meditations so that I can continue to do the job that I was sent here to do. Also, my books, I keep forgetting to talk about that. My books are at michaelwilliamdenny.com, Denney. So check all those out. I have 2 books written about extraterrestrial light beings, and which involves the solar flash and how everything's going to shift, and a bunch of other really cool stuff. You can check that out. There's a bunch of other great books I won't go into, but go check that out as well, michaelwilliamdenny.com. That's it for me, my friends. I love you all. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for listening to me. And I look forward to seeing you on the live stream meditations. Having one tomorrow. I hope I see you there. Thank you so much. Please take very good care of yourselves.